The Chicago Bears have said that they are now seriously leaning towards a new stadium in Hammond, Indiana, rather than Arlington Heights. Now, it's not done. It's not inked, but they're leaning that way because the state of Illinois doesn't want to give them money to build their stadium or tax relief to build their stadium. And the state of Indiana says they're willing to pitch in $1 billion of taxpayer funds to build this stadium. As a result of this, the new copy and paste talking points for the right are out. Let me show you. So you can see here, this is from a right-leaning content creator over on the Book of Faces. Now, it's copy and paste from the words last year the state of Illinois spent. Whatever comes before that is how they choose to begin the post to make it look like theirs. But you can read here. Last year, the state of Illinois spent over $2.5 billion on benefits for illegal aliens. Meanwhile, Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson told the Bears there's no money for tax relief for a new stadium. Let that sink in. $2.5 billion could have fully funded a new Chicago Bears stadium. Yet instead, it went to lavish benefits for illegal aliens, while Illinois runs a $3 billion deficit and loses a franchise it's had for over 100 years that brought revenue, jobs, and tourism there. This is what Democratic policies look like. They put outsiders first and will destroy your state for power. Vote red. Danielle Carter Walters for mayor 2027, blah, blah, blah. Now, you can see that here in Benny Johnson's post, right? He starts it a little bit differently. Hey, Chicago Bears fans, your blood is about to boil reading this. Then he copies and pastes all the way down to the 100 years, they will destroy your state for power. Right? It's all copy and paste. So the talking points are that the Democrats fucked over the state of Illinois by not giving money to the Bears to build a stadium, and now the Bears are thinking about going to Indiana. So let's break down these talking points. Did the state of Illinois spend over $2 billion on undocumented immigrants last year? Yes, we did. So where did that money go that you guys call lavish? Well, $1.6 billion of it was for healthcare programs. That's very lavish. Seeing a doctor is now lavish, folks. And $820 million of it was prompted by the sudden arrival of tens of thousands of asylum seekers bust up here from the southern border. Illinois allocated hundreds of millions to address the emergency. This funding covered welcome centers, emergency food, intake screening, temporary shelter, and rental assistance. For the undocumented immigrants that weren't in our state that your party bust here, emergency food, shelter, and healthcare is now lavish? Oh, by the way, even though we spent over $2 billion on undocumented immigrants last year, those same undocumented immigrants contributed $1.5 billion to our state's income and represent 5% of the state's total workforce. Now, let's talk about the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana is going to cough up $1 billion in taxpayer funds while they're landing somewhere between 35th and 41st out of 50 states for median household income. They're middle of the pack for healthcare coverage, have over 12% of their state living in poverty, and they're a taker state. They don't exist without states like Illinois giving them money, which leads us to the $3 billion deficit. Do you know why we run a $3 billion deficit in this state? We lose $8 billion a year by not getting back the federal funds that are generated in our state. Every year, the state of Illinois loses about $8.1 to $8.2 billion by giving the federal government X amount of money and getting back X amount of money in return. $8 billion. We also have $12.5 billion worth of unpaid bills. If the state of Illinois could keep the federal revenue that's generated right here in our state, we could pay down our unpaid bills in under a decade and we'd be running a $5 billion surplus just with the revenue we bring in right now, without having to raise taxes, without having to adjust anything. We'd still have to address and grapple with the pension problem long term, which I believe we should do by switching everybody over, new hires over to a 401k system, but that's a video for another day. Yeah, we run a $3 billion deficit because states like Illinois don't levy enough taxes on their people to pay their bills, so we have to cover their bills. So the state of Indiana is going to pay, if this goes down, $1 billion in taxpayer funds to $1 billion company, by the way, The Chicago Bears franchise is estimated at $9 billion for its valuation, and they bring in $627 million worth of revenue a year. The McCaskey family, that is the primary owner of that organization, is worth roughly $1.3 billion. So instead of using that $1 billion to help people in the state of Illinois, they'd rather give it to a billionaire and his multi-billion-dollar company to build them a stadium. I mean, you're welcome, Indiana, for the money it took for you guys to build that stadium, because we're the ones you fucking got it from. But guys, come on, you got to get some better talking points than this bullshit. And the copy and paste thing, you guys aren't embarrassed by that?